All right. Morning, everybody. Uh, Thank you for joining the August 23rd, 2024 AgRobotics Working Group meeting. We'll start this meeting off with some new members. We have Maria Hallebuck from the CSA group, who I don't believe is on this call. And we also have Richard Hildred from Conestoga College, also who I do not see on the call this morning, but that's all right. And not listed there, but I would like to introduce, is it Henri Schulten? Or
Yeah, it's probably the proper way to say it, but Henry is fine, yes.
either or.
Yes,
We have Henry Schulten, who is the director of Frontlink, who is the Canadian Farm Droid distributor.
correct.
So thank you very much for joining us this morning.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
And with that, I would like to pass things over to Eric Havaleska from FarmDroid. He'll be presenting on some FarmDroid updates as well as talking about their new Spot application system. So, Eric, thank you for joining us, and please take it away.
Thank you very much. I'm not very familiar with using Zoom, so let's see how it can be done. Can you see my screen now?
We can.
Oh, that's good. Thank you for the opportunity to give you a little update here in this group. Just a little presentation of who I am. I'm Erik Havaleska. I'm Business Development Manager at the company FarmDroid, and I am Danish. So as you can see on the Danish flag here. So please, I don't always participate in the meetings because I'm in Denmark, and actually I'm half on the way to my weekend right now. So sometimes I prefer to go on weekend instead of being in the meetings, but I find the meetings very interesting. And of course, excuse me if my English is very bad. It's not really Canadian, I can hear that, but hopefully you understand me. Otherwise, you have to stop me because I like to talk a lot. A little about my background is that I have a lot of years experience in agriculture. I have been the partly owner and director of the company Lift in Denmark, who is a producer of vegetable harvesters. So I have been, together with my team, producing harvesters for carrots, cabbage, leeks, onions. That's the main product, and a lot of special crops, including broccoli harvesters. I know in this group we have been talking about harvesting broccoli, and I have actually some experience, but we can talk about that another time because broccoli is very, very difficult to harvest. It's not an easy product. One other thing we have made at Asialith was special machines, and maybe some of you know the Nexat machine, which in 2019 won an award on the Agrotechnica show. But already in 2012, you can see here on the left side of the screen, Asialift produced actually what you can say is a prototype of Nexat. But we never managed to get a medal on Agrotechnica, unfortunately. I will use this opportunity to make, I have the microphone, I will do a short technical introduction to the FarmDroid product, because I think there has been a lot of new members since I started in the group, and I'm not sure that everyone knows what a FarmDroid is. So I will make a very short introduction to that. I will also talk a little bit about FarmDroid in general, the factory, and the thoughts about the product we are making. And of course, the SAS system, the Spot application system. So to start with, I will see if I can manage to start this one. That was Stan who actually advised me to put a movie on YouTube. So hopefully that will work.
The video is coming through, however, there's no sound playing on our end.
Ah, okay.
I think there's just music on this video. Anyways,
That was my thought as well.
Okay. I don't know. Did we have success with that?
Moderate success.
Ah, okay, that's good. Yeah, because in the video there's I think a good explanation of how the machine is working. This picture here in the bottom, I really love this picture because that's where you understand the ultra high precision which we are working with on the farm droid. You can easily see here the very nice pattern in the field because it's so accurate. So it's ultra high precision. It is completely powered by the sun, and you can additional put on a battery bank. It's a light machine, only 900 kilos, and it's a slow machine. It's really slow farming. What the machine does is actually that when we put up a field based on the data you put in the machine, it makes a pattern like this, where it knows exactly where to drop every single seed in the ground. And the machine will remember that position. That gives the opportunity to do weeding before anything is coming out of the soil. That means that we don't need something to grow up before we can detect it with a camera, because it's not working with cameras. It's only working with the high precision position of the seed. So that means that we can actually take the weed when it's very, very small, even not above the soil or in the ground. We say at Farm Droid, if we can seed it, we can weed it. And we can seed in different types. We can do single out seeding. We can do in portions where we have dropped 3, 4, 5, 6 seeds in one portion. I know that's what you do in Canada with onions. And we can do line seeding as well if we have, for example, carrots or anything like that. So different opportunities of seeding. What is the status of Farm Droid? We are more than 50 people at Farm Droid at the factory. We have 4,200 square meters warehouse, production and office. We have been self-financed since 2019. We are active in 23 countries, and we are actually celebrating that right now we are producing robot number 500. So that, I think, makes a difference from what we see on a lot of the, you can say, social media networks, where a lot of new machines and upcoming producers of machines are showing their product. We have been there on the market now for nearly 5 years, and we have a lot of robots and a lot of experience and a lot of acres or hectares made with the machine. So. And of course, if you have any questions, just raise your hand and let me answer if I can. Here you can see the geographical markets, where the biggest market we have is Germany, and also France is big markets, but we are growing all over the world. We have some machines working in Canada now for some years, and we have just started up this year in America. Chuck exported the machine to America last year, but now we have 3 robots more working in America, and that will be a part of the future that we are present there as well. Yep. I want to show you a little bit about this spot application system and what the future holds. Yep. Here you can see the spot application system. You can see there are 2 water tanks of 60 liters on the machine. One is for water and one is for the active stuff. Of course, using the opportunity that we know exactly where all the seed are is the ground means that why not use that opportunity also to spray exactly where we have put the seed on the ground. And that is, of course, that will give a heavy reduction in the consumption of if we are using it for pesticides. I have a little movie I can show you, but before I do that, I have to tell you that things looks a little bit different on the movie, because in real life, there is a cover around the nozzle. I will tell you why there is that a little bit later. I found this picture. This is actually the prototype working. That is one of the first trials we made, but I think this picture shows very, very nice what the farm drone is capable to do when you talk about spot spraying. And that is, of course, a big advantage that we, with this machine, have a hybrid between using spraying and also using mechanical weeding at the same time, at the same pass in the field. I will try to see if the movie is working. I hope so. You can start it. I don't think there's any sound on this, so. We have been working with this since last year, and this season we have more than 20 machines working in Europe. And they are working quite good. Using pesticides in Europe is very restricted with many regulations. And we don't have one common rule in Europe. We have to look into every country to find out what is the rules about using pesticides. I don't know. I know the situation a little bit in America. I don't know what the situation is in Canada, but I'm sure that you are ahead of what they are doing in America. That's the normal thing. But even in Europe, there's a lot of difference between how you can use it. Oh, sorry. One little example is that we have now a spraying certificate with the system, which is allow us to go into Germany, Holland, and Denmark. It has taken a lot of tests, and one of the very, very different tests is that we have to find out how much drifting we have on the pesticides. Because drifting means that we can be very close to areas, organic areas or water areas where pesticides are really not allowed. So we get when we get a certificate, we get a grade of drifting reduction. In Denmark, we have 90%. That means that 90% of all the pesticides we put on the ground is actually hitting the right spot. I'm sure that when you look on drones and all the other things, I think 90% is completely impossible with a drone. So maybe that's also coming to Canada. I don't know the rules in Canada. But of course, we should not only talk about pesticides, because this system can also be used for herbicides and also some of those new bio things which can be used as fertilizing for organic products. So I think this system has a big future. And we are so far with the test now, so it will be released in the rest of the world next year. So we should be able to have some machines working also in America or in Canada next year. Yeah. When it comes to farming robots, then you can of course ask the question, why should we do like that? We have decided at FarmDroid that we work with this solar-powered robot platform, as we believe that there's a lot of more operation which can be done with that platform in the future. And we do it also because we want to give the farmers a possibility to concentrate on the work which gives the benefit for his farm. And I'm sure that sitting in the seat of a tractor is not really where the benefit can be made. I got this picture from a farmer, and it's not a model picture. It is a picture, and he wrote, "This is the way we seed this year." And as you can see on the picture, he's sitting controlling his farm droid with an iPad, and he's drinking red wine at the same time. And I'm sure he can concentrate a little bit more about the thoughts of what is in the future for his farm, instead of sitting in a tractor and looking behind the tractor to see what the seeding units are doing. What we believe in at FarmDroid is that we believe that our little robot can actually do a lot of other things in the field. So in the scope at the moment, we have that we do preparation in the field, we do the seeding, we do the weed control, and now we also do the fertilizing. What is out of the scope at the moment is harvesting. We are not looking into that at the moment. But of course, can we come around with all the other things? There is a lot of advantages with using a slow robot working all the time, labor hours in the field, in having a robot instead of. And one of the new thoughts is actually that we can solve maybe some of the problem, as we can use the system, the spot application system, also to irrigate the crop. Because if we only irrigate the crop and don't irrigate the rest of the soil, then also the weed is maybe not growing as fast as we see in some places where you irrigate the whole field, and of course also give water to weed, which you shouldn't do, because that is really the enemy of the crops. That was a very short presentation of the spot application system. Thank you for your attention, and of course, if you have any questions, you're welcome to ask them.
Perfect. Thanks so much for that presentation, Eric.
You're welcome.
We did have one question that popped in the chat. Giuliano wanted to ask, what are the rules around human supervision while the unit is operating? Do they vary country to country in the EU?
No, in EU, the machine is built under the regulation of how machines should be built. That means that there are three safety systems on the machine, that it's not working very fast. It has a geofence where as soon as it comes out of that geofence, the machine will stop. And it has also a wire around the machine, so if it hits something, then the machine will stop. And it's completely allowed to work with that machine in Europe. We have also one machine operating in California, and I was a little bit afraid to put it there, because I know the rules in America is a little bit different from the rest of the world with lawyers and everything. But they managed to put the robot in, as it is not a tractor, it is a robot, it is an industrial robot. So they are actually allowed, and their lawyer said okay for working with that machine in California. And I think that's pretty good. I was afraid that we couldn't get a machine working there, but it is not a tractor. It is a industrial robot working in the field.
Well, I think, Eric, that's a good distinction between a vehicle like a tractor versus an implement. Because if you said if you said you can't let an implement run unattended, then, for example, someone could come to you and say, like any kind of stationary machine, we have lots of machinery that runs unattended with nobody watching it all the time. It just determines what what are the rules and stuff like that around them.
Yeah.
And we had another question from Ian. Are you looking at using it for any remote sensing to direct other physical operations like weed control, etc., either at the same time or as a scouting tool?
Yeah, we have some companies we are working with in that direction, but it's really in the very early stage, I would say. And unfortunately, some of those companies, they don't have a long life cycle. So when we see something very exciting, then maybe 2 months later the company is closed and they didn't get any money, any fundings or anything like that. And that's what we see a lot, especially with AI systems, because a lot of people find that interesting and think that solutions like that could really be helpful in the agriculture. But the people who are developing those machines, I think, is far away from the farmers, too far away. And I would say with this working group, I think we have people who are much closer into farming to develop new products and get the experience. So yeah, so we are looking on that. Very long answer on a short question, but we don't have any solutions yet.
Ainsley was asking, do the rules for supervision vary across countries?
I think so, yes. But in all those countries we don't have any problems. But we have, of course, made some special not changes on the machine, but the paperwork around the machine, and make sure that the people who work with the machine have signed off a kind of contract how to use the machine and what is allowed, what is not allowed is done, and that can be different from country to country, even from company to company.
Ian also wanted to ask, if you have fields side by side, can the farm droid navigate to these additional fields?
You have to move it from one field to another, because one field is, you can say, geographically a safety zone. So if you take it out from one safety tool to another, you have to use to do it that manual. It's not something we can make the machine work on the street or on a anything like that. You have to move it by yourself. You can do it with the joystick on the machine, but you can't do it automatically.
Jing from Haggerty was wondering if Farm Droid is collecting data to help improve how farmers are growing their crops, especially with the Farm Droid.
Yeah, that's also something we are looking into, because a lot of companies have software under development for that, and we are looking into what could be interesting, because it could be easy to implement an AI camera on the system and get a lot of data in, but we need to find the right partner, and that's not so easy.
Ian also wants to know, with fertilizer and weed control, can it automatically load itself to reduce labor?
No. You have to load it manually.
Sean wanted to ask, when a unit is using spot spraying and physical weed control, which hits the weed first?
That's a lot of things you can adjust on the software. It's not only spot spraying. We can also spray in bands. If I remember correct, the spot spraying is right after the knife, but I'm not completely sure. I think it's after the knife, but it's really very close to each other.
That would make sense to me, Eric, that it's after the knife, because you wouldn't want to spray depends whether you're spraying a weed or whether you're spraying the plant, right? If you're spraying on the plant, well, then it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And then Anna Maria wanted to ask, has the Farm Droid been designed to meet specific national or international standards, either for safety or performance? If yes, which standards?
That's I'm not sure what it's called in America, but in Europe we have something called the machine directive, which is in EU, and that means that it has the CE mark on the machine. That's a common in EU, and we have the CE mark on the machine. It's made according to those rules there completely.
We can get that mark for you, Anna Marie. Okay, we can find that for you.
Thank you so much. I think I'm just interested in, that directive, because sometimes we can learn and leverage those types of existing documents to develop maybe similar solutions that might be needed nationally. So thank you for that.
That's something which is working in Europe completely, that
Yes.
every machine needs to have a CE mark if you put them on the market. And with that is also things you need to have a manual in the local language, you need to have spare
Yes.
parts, you need a lot of things. So it's a quite complicated thing to read all the rules there, but it is working quite good, I would say. And also I know that a lot of countries recognize when it is a CE marked machine, then they know that everything is according to the rules. Maybe not in their own country, but in Europe.
In Europe. In Canada, it's a different, different certification standards would apply. But thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Some great questions in there. Eric, I want to thank you again for joining us and giving that presentation. It was excellent.
Thank you. You're always welcome also with questions. I am a part of the group, so you can find my email there if you have any questions.
Or if anyone wants to connect, feel free to reach out to me and I can make that connection for you. All right. So with that, we'll move on to the next section of our presentation, or not presentation, of the meeting. So heading into conferences, meetings, field tours, and demonstrations. The new one we have added on this week is the 2024 Thrive Global Impact Summit. That's November 6th and 7th in Santa Clara, California. Has anyone been to any recent events or conferences and they'd like to speak on them or your experience there? No? All right then.
I can tell a little bit now. We have Farnbroid on the program today because we have robots working in the Oregon State University and also on Michigan State University. And they have both made very small field days, but with a lot of interesting farmers coming and see the machine. So this week we have been in Oregon, and one of the farmers there invited other farmers by himself because he was loaning out his fields to the university, and he found the machine so interesting that he invited a lot of friends. And they were sitting there drinking beers, and the machine was running up and down, and they thought it was a little bit funny and also scary because now they have to be protected for the sun, because normally they are sitting inside the tractor. Now they are going outside, just sitting there and watching the machine going up and down. So maybe that's something in the future, that we need to put some sun protection for the farmers with the machine, because we want them to get down from the tractor.
It's going to be a farm droid tent with a little cooler.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Every machine comes with a free bottle of sunscreen.
Yeah. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you for that update. And that's great because getting the machines in front of farmers is definitely an important goal. So that's excellent. Funding announcements and opportunities. We have a new one for anyone who might happen to be in the BC area, the BC On-Farm Technology Adoption Program. Open intake until October 6th, and there's up to $100,000 to fund BC-based farms for projects to adopt innovative technology. So anyone in that area, or if you know anyone in that area, definitely pass that along. Chuck, go ahead.
I saw one on Twitter from the Trade Commission of the Government of Canada. And this is it's called the North American Ag Tech Accelerator. And it's for Canadian companies that are looking at expanding into the US and Mexico with new technology. And they have a funding program here on, basically on startups and trying to get your company growing and and staging to the next level. So I just thought I'd mention that.
Excellent. Thanks, Chuck. I'll look into that and throw up
Yeah,
any.
I'll forward you the link.
Okay, perfect. That'd be great. And I can make sure to throw that up on next week's agenda. Appreciate it. Robert, is your hand up?
It is, thank you. So I just, thanks, Dan. I think I just want to introduce myself, Robert McMillan from OCI. I've met and spoke to quite a few of you people previously, but just very briefly, OCI, the Ontario Centre of Innovation, has a funding program, actually a 3-year funding program going right now that does have a focus on agriculture, around specific technologies, robotics, AI, along that kind of line. So very open to those discussions with yourself or some of your clients who are interested in that. I know we've talked to Chuck about this and a few other people. A really good opportunity. Again, the first really that OCI, being an Ontario group, has had a focus on agriculture and funding. So really excited to have that out there, and looking forward to the opportunity to speak to people on it. Thanks, Dan.
Excellent. No problem. Thank you, Robert. Appreciate the update on that. Perfect. At this point, I will move the meeting into the roundtable section. So this is an opportunity if anyone has any comments or any updates on anything, feel free to share. No updates anywhere, right?
You want to?
Chuck, you there? You froze up on us. Can you hear us, Chuck? Started to say something, but went frozen. You can see him moving now.
I think my internet froze up.
There we go. We can hear you now.
Okay, I didn't know whether Jason or Grant wanted to give an update as to the outdoor farm show and what's happening with that and what we're doing.
Yeah, so we're gonna be at the outdoor farm show. We'll have, if you've been to our booth in the past, or not the booth, but the demo site, we have a demo site there. I think it's about 3 acres where we show off a lot of the robots in action. It's not as quite as of a real world representative as when we do our field days when the robots are actually on farmers' fields, but it's pretty close. And this year we're going to plant, or we planted sugar beets, so they should be pretty big by then, so we could see the robots working between the rows and whatnot. So it's a good way to see the robots in action. And we're going to do some presentations there talking about the research that we're doing as a working group. And we'll also be in the innovation pavilion that OMAFRA is hosting within the outdoor farm show grounds, and we'll be there with the working group and RHA, among other innovative agricultural companies.
You have the farm droid on the site, Jason?
Yes, we will. It's actually right there. It's what's really nice about the farm droid and utilizing the farm droid is that Grant and some of our summer students went there and set up that robot a few weeks ago to plant the sugar beets. And we don't need to have someone going out there constantly to do the weeding and all that. The robot is doing that for us. So it's managing our demonstration site. So very happy with that.
So I think at the site as well, we're bringing the so the farm droid will be there, and then we're bringing the row planting unit that we're working on. So hopefully it is ready at the time. So this will be an air planter to go on a robotic system. So it should be one of the first air row planters that we see. And then we have the the robot company that was doing the nitrogen trials for us in corn is bringing their little robot that's doing the the split nitrogen applications. And I think Harvest Tech is bringing the Triton asparagus harvesting robot to our site as well. So there should be lots to see at that site this year.
Awesome. Thanks for the update on that. Does anybody else have any problems, questions, thoughts, queries?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I just wanted to share that yesterday we had the demo of the AgRobotics Tiara, the precision sprayer, and it was a big success. We were about 80 people, and half of them were producers. And in addition to be very pleased with the demonstration, they took the opportunity to talk with the deputy of the county because they are looking for financial programs to buy this kind of equipment. So everybody was very pleased. We were at the Agri-Food and Agriculture Canada farm. So it was also the first time that we collaborate with a big organization like that. I think they say that we should continue to organize events like that, to see technologies, but also to networking with researchers and also with MAPAC people, to find ways to finance equipment like that. So that's it. It was very good to be there yesterday and to work for the Innovation Network and to hear our producers' needs.
Awesome. Thanks, Ismir, for that update. Appreciate it.
If I may just add in, Ismar, are you planning to be at the Expo Champ next week?
Yes, I'll be there with the Zona Tech. Maybe you were in contact with my colleague Guillaume.
Yes, my colleague Jimmy was actually Eric forwarded him on to me, but I passed him on to Jimmy because Jimmy's located in Joliet. And so he looks after Quebec here, and actually, I'm on my way to Expo Champ here right now from Quebec City to set up the booth there. We'll have the farm droid there. It will not be operational, but it will be in our booth. I will be there Tuesday and Wednesday of next week, but Jimmy will be there all 3 days.
All right, I'll be there on Wednesday and Thursday too, so
Okay.
we can have the time to talk about our projects, of course.
Oh, perfect. Awesome.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you both. All right then. As always, please everybody check out the articles there in the agenda. Stay up to date on what's going on in the world and all around agriculture and robotics. And if there's there's something in the chat here. To Izmir's comment, are more farmers attending field days, i.e. is interest growing? An interesting comment from some farmers this summer has been essentially that the cost of farm equipment is taking the fun out of farming. With concurrent reductions in grains commodity prices, the next couple of years might be a real opportunity to increase farmers' interest in alternatives to big traditional farm equipment.
We are trying to set another demo for strawberries producers, but we are not sure. And of course, we have heard the same kind of comment. It's very difficult to afford machines like that. So we have the same conversation with them, of course.
Excellent. Thanks, Ismir. Appreciate that. All right. If there's nothing else, then I guess we'll call the end of this week's meeting. Again, I'd like to thank Eric for joining us from Denmark. We really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, thanks, Eric.
You're always welcome.
If anyone would like to connect, feel free to drop me an email and I'll be happy to make any connections for you. And on that, I will call the end of this week's meeting. Thank you everybody so much for joining us. And we'll hopefully see you all next week.
Thank you.
Actually, Eric,
I have a last question. Are you going to the Area XO event on September 26th?
yeah, we are. Yeah, we're participating at that, Ismer.
All right, all right. We are trying to be there, me and Maxime Bastien from PAC, and maybe someone else from Agriculture and Agroalimentaire Canada.
Yep, yeah, we'll be there. We're bringing a few machines down as well to that event. I got a conference call either today or next week with Suzanne Cork, kind of formalizing those plans. So,
Perfect.
and then I was going to make a comment for Eric. We drove through, we were in Croatia last 10 days, and it's a very beautiful country, like you said. And we actually drove through Dalmatia, the farming area in the middle. And honestly, if you didn't see the mountains in the background, it looks just like the Holland Marsh area north of Toronto, all the vegetables and all the farms and stuff like that. So it was we saw lots of farm country on our drive. So
For sure, interesting country. Good that you had time to visit that.
yes, we did. Yeah. Well, we went to our family's farm and stuff like that and everything where that's all through as well. So
yeah. Okay. Good to know.
Excellent. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope you all have a very good weekend and hope to see you all on next week's call.
Thanks. Same to you, Dan.
Thank you so much.
Have a good one, everybody.
Take care, everybody.